we have our topic of the week. And our topic of the week this week is if you could revive any anime or manga character, who would you bring back? Now, we have to make that specification for manga as well, because TJ and I also both read manga, and a lot of manga, believe it or not, do not get turned into anime. So you just kind of have to qualify that. And also, a huge thing that happens in manga and in anime is death. Yeah. They kill characters off in every series, and sometimes it means a lot, sometimes it feels like crap. But TJ, I'm very interested to see what your opinion is. So who is the character that you would bring back?
It kind of goes all over the place for me. I was like thinking about this a lot over the past few days, and I kind of honed in on anime. Mm-hmm. And I had two options. It was either going to be Gurren Lagann.
Just give me one. Oh, I'm going to be pissed if you pick mine. I'm not going to lie.
I'll just go Gurren Lagann. I'll go Gurren Lagann. And then after you say yours, I'll give you like my...
No, go ahead. Say yours. I'm curious who's your one? Okay. Who's the guy?
Which one do you want? Do you want Gurren Lagann or do you want Iron-Blooded Orphans?
Well, you don't get two options. You only get one. Only one person can come back.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm going to go with Iron-Blooded Orphans. Okay. Because I feel like the narrative would have been different if this person came back.
Okay. So who's the person? Who would you bring back?
Drum roll. Biscuit.
Really?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Let's hear that. Okay.
So the reason why I'm saying Biscuit is because for those of you who have watched or haven't watched, or if you have watched, whatever, catch up to it, read it on Wikipedia. It's been a long time since Iron Blood.
It's been a long time.
Ain't no spoilers.
Hey, and we spoiler alert ahead. We just gonna tell you. We gonna act like you've seen it already. Forget it.
It's what it is.
Yeah. So Biscuit, huh? Damn, bro died in like the first 5 episodes.
Hey, don't make light. Hold on. First of all,
no, I'm not making light of it. I ain't making light of it.
Biscuit wasn't nothing light about Biscuit, right?
No, there's nothing light about it at all. His death reverberated through that series, so it mattered.
That was like the first death that hit you like, fuck, right?
His death is like the first death that lets you know don't get attached, because they will kill people.
They're like, this is the Game of Thrones of anime. But the reason why I say is because like his death kind of takes place like right at the halfway mark, I want to say, of the series, right? And it changes the tone a little bit. And it's like you can't help but wonder how it affected the decision. Well, not that you can wonder. It's like you see how his death kind of affects the decisions going forward. Like now that Biscuit is out of the way, you just really have like Mikazuki and Orga really making the decisions. I know, you got some of the other characters too, but it's like I contend, and I think a lot of people agree with that, Biscuit was truly like the conscience of the organization of Tekkadan, right? Like,
yeah, at least, especially in the beginning for Tekkadan,
especially in the beginning. It's like, you could see the death marks on him because they're setting up like the fact that he's got the younger sisters that he's sending money to back home.
Oh yeah,
the grandma / auntie or whatever. Like now in hindsight, you can see the death markings, but I'm like, I feel like if Biscuit were still alive, a lot of their decisions would happen a different way. I feel like they would have taken less risky moves. I feel like the crew would have accomplished their goal, but with slightly less bloodshed. I don't think you could discount bloodshed altogether just because of the nature of the show and like the plot, but I feel like there could have been significantly less bloodshed had the conscience still been there. That's me. That's me. How about yourself, bro?
All right. I was just hoping you didn't take mine, but instantly when I thought about this, I thought of one guy only that I didn't want to die, and that's Kamina from Gurren Lagann.
He was my one from Gurren Lagann.
I know he was. As soon as you said Gurren Lagann, there was nobody else that could have been.
Go ahead. Go on.
For me personally, Gurren Lagann was like a series that I took a while to circle around to because, to be honest, I was a little bit of a purist in terms of like, I don't want to call it kaiju anime, but in terms of like, big robot anime.
Yeah.
I it took me a while to get around to it. And after I was finally convinced to watch it, I remember it might still be on Netflix now, but I jumped on Gurren Lagann when I saw it was online. I saw it was on Netflix.
Yeah.
And got in one episode, couldn't stop watching it. And his death caught me so much by surprise. I even called a friend of mine, my friend who is the one that pushed me into it, Bryce. We're gonna have to get him on the show one day.
Did you yell at Bryce? I would have yelled at him.
No, bro. I called him and told him I was done with Gurren Lagann. And he was just like, oh, what's up? Like, you finished? I said, no, bro, they just killed Kamina, and there's nothing for me to watch this for no more. No, I'm not accepting this. I was like, is he coming back later? He's like, oh, you just gotta watch it, man. No, fuck all that. I just gotta watch it. Why did he die? No, TJ, because he was too raw. Like, Kamina is this character who actually, the anime does a very good job. If it makes you believe this is gonna be about him.
Yeah.
It's gonna be about him and Simone, and then it isn't. And I mean, it isn't so far. Like, he doesn't make it midway through the first season.
Yeah. He dies pretty early. Like,
he dies like 5. Him and Biscuit might have died the same amount of episodes in. They really might have both died 5 episodes in.
Yeah.
It was just the effect he had already had on the show, the effect he had on me as just a character. He just made a splash right away.
Yeah.
So and I felt like in the grand scheme of things as well, though his death was like the catalyst for Simone to really step up and stuff like that, those things didn't really take effect and take shape until a little bit later in that first season, and significantly more in that second season.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I felt like ultimately his death, and my other reasoning for picking him too is I feel like reviving him or stopping him from dying isn't something that would throw off the trajectory of the show or of the characters, anything like that.
Right. I mean, it's like
that was like the biggest thing I was considering, because I thought about a bunch of people on Iron Blooded Orphans, if I'm being honest, not to cut you off, but it was just like Biscuit, I think it was the death I didn't consider.
Yeah.
But his is probably the only one, at least the way I was looking at it, for like, who would we bring back? Who would I bring back? The first thing I was thinking of was like, well, all of these people's death led to something. It was a purpose. Like, like I don't think they would have got to the point that they got to at the very end if Orga didn't die.
Yeah.
If we don't lose Mikazuki and Ashihiro, then they don't get their revenge.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things, like everybody's death kind of, it sucked and it was weighted, but there was like a cause and effect thing. And Biscuits, you're right. Ultimately, I think Biscuit was the guy that they could save. But yeah, Kamina was my pick from Gurren Lagann. I was super shocked. As soon as I decided I was going to do Kamina, I was just like, he's probably going to pick Kamina. Like, I was totally fine with us both picking the same guy.
If I went with Gurren Lagann, like, that would be like, oh, we're just on the same wavelength.
Yeah, for real.
But I was going to be like, it made me think too, like, Kamina is Simone's Uncle Ben, but like not in the same, like Simone was a dick to him, right? It's like he like died as a result of war. And dude, Kamina's death, like, I think what also impacted it or made it so impactful was like, you had never seen an anime, in my opinion. I mean, I could very well be wrong. Like, I haven't seen every anime, right? There's so many anime out there, but at that point when I had to watch Gurren Lagann, it's like, I have never seen an anime have an episode after the fact dedicated to mourning. You know what I mean? Like there's literally a whole episode where Simone and the whole crew is grieving over Kamina's death.
Yeah.
Like, that's how impactful it was. Like, there was a whole episode just about the grieving process. Like that was wild to me. It's like I don't know. And I agree too. It's like up to the point where Kamina had unfortunately passed. It's like, it's not like the plot and the mission was centered around him and Simone anymore. Like, they had already gone beyond, let's just escape the underground and see the surface. It's like, at this point, they were already all serving a higher purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, trying to figure out what's going on with these monsters that keep attacking us. Like, eventually it would have gotten to the Spiral versus anti-Spiral, whether Kamina was still there or not. I feel, like, there's no way. It was just there were forces at work that were much bigger than the protagonist. That there was no way the protagonist could avoid it, right?
Right.
Plus, like, Gurren Lagann is just an awesome show. But going back to Biscuit too, it's like you're right. Like every death served a purpose. But I'm just like, let's also remember Mikazuki and how much he literally gave sacrifice to the cause, right? Like to the point where our boy couldn't like literally function with
Mikazuki is a different beast,
the
though. This is
most.
a guy that was just like, well, if I can't walk, fuck it, just put me in a Gundam. It's like, bro,
Bro,
what are you talking about?
bro,
What life is this?
I'm just saying, like, maybe if Biscuit were still alive, the worst that would have happened to him is just his eye. Like, that's all I'm saying. That's
Possibly,
all
but
I'm
you
saying.
never know, man. Mika didn't give a fuck. So,
I know, but like he
yeah,
would need a Biscuit. That's exactly what I'm saying. He needs a Biscuit to
yeah,
balance him
you're
out.
right.
Orga too, because like if not, it's like all or nothing. Like as we saw, it was literally all
Man,
or nothing.
yeah, for
Um,
real, for real.
that's why it's like I feel like they would have accomplished their goals, but it's like they could still. I feel like they'd be alive to, because that's the part about Iron Blooded Orphans that honestly is sad. It's like at some point they knew that they weren't going to be able to live to see the fruits of their fight, right? They wouldn't be able to live to see the freedom that they gained. They knew at some point that they were doing this for the next generation. And that's why this was so raw and hard hitting. It's like they knew that they wouldn't be able to benefit from this. They wouldn't live to see it, but it's like man, it was just like I feel like if Biscuit were still alive, they could at least benefit from it a little bit. They would live long enough to at least see it or to see the next generation, man. But it's just, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
man. Yeah,
Uh,
so that
it,
was our topic of the week. Oh, go
yeah.
ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say like before you conclude, like it's funny that these are the characters that we picked, and they're both from like a hard series to watch, right?
Yeah.
Like
It's also funny because the way you feel about Gurren Lagann, I think is more how I felt about Iron Blooded Orphan. So it's funny that we kind of flipped
right,
which series we would have took them from.
right.